Welcome back to Sissy Maya. Make sure to subscribe to our channel to never miss an update. Additionally, consider subscribing to my Patreon to get access to these features, and much more.
Dickson and Don had both landed gigs as retail assistants at Victoria's Secret department store, which they eagerly accepted. Job opportunities were scarce in their area, so even though these were just shop positions, they were grateful to be working at one of the area's top-notch and most respected establishments. Succeeding here meant the difference between building a career and relying on government assistance. But Don couldn't shake off the annoyance of missing out on the coveted computer job, selling overpriced PCs to unsuspecting customers. That position went to Dickson, who was undoubtedly poised to rake in hefty bonuses. Instead, Don found himself assigned to the fashion department. Clothes. How mundane, he thought, but he knew better than to grumble. A job was a job, and he had to take what he could get. He signed his contract and awaited his first day. On their inaugural day, they nervously chatted away in the staff room, feeling like outsiders amidst the indifferent glances of their new colleagues. Eventually, Dickson's manager showed up and cordially greeted him. "You're Steve, right? Nice to meet you. Shall we sort out your uniform?" he asked, leading Dickson away. Meanwhile, Don stewed in disappointment. What stung the most was that neither of them had ever worked before, so Don couldn't fathom why Dickson snagged the cool PC retail job over him. He sat brooding until his own manager arrived, or rather, manageress. "Excuse me. I'm looking for a Donna Hawking," she inquired. "Well, if you're searching for a new starter, I'm Don Hawking, though I've never been called Donna before," he chuckled. But the manageress's response was less than amused. "Oh, there seems to be some confusion. Would you mind waiting here? If you're Donna, then there's a problem." Don's heart sank. He realized they must have mixed up the names and mistakenly sent him the job offer. No wonder he ended up in fashion. They had offered the position to the wrong person, Don Hawking instead of Donna Hawking. He slouched in his chair, overcome with embarrassment. Soon they'd ask him to leave, and he'd be right back where he started, unemployed. What else could possibly go wrong? Eventually, manageress Janet Jonas returned with a slightly softened expression. "It's all right," she began. "You're Donna, so to speak. I've spoken with HR, and they've informed me about your specific employment conditions, which, looking at you, I understand now. Did you bring a bag?" "Specific conditions? What conditions?" Don wondered, caught off guard. "No. I figured I could stow anything in a locker." "No, I mean, did you bring—" "Oh well, it doesn't matter. You won't be able to go out onto the shop floor today, then. Come, let's get you sorted with your uniform." Janet led him to the stock cupboard, rummaging through large boxes as she handed him a form to sign, confirming receipt of various items. Don glanced at the form, perplexed. It listed an assortment of clothing items, trousers, shirts, ties, and even women's uniforms like skirts, blouses, and dresses. But what caught his eye were the entries for 2 skirts, 2 blouses, and 2 dresses. Surely there was a mistake? He hesitated before signing, feeling a creeping sense of panic as he awaited the first item. As each package arrived, wrapped in clear plastic, Don couldn't determine if it contained trousers or not. The same uncertainty lingered with the shirts and blouses. He tried to convince himself he was being paranoid. Surely they wouldn't make him wear a skirt. Then came the final 2 unmistakable packages, wrapped or not, the standard-issue Victoria's Secret dresses. He recognized the print immediately, identical to the one the manageress herself wore. Along with the dress, he was handed the lightweight jacket worn by female staff, not the thicker one for men. Don stood in disbelief. Was this some sort of joke? A test? Part of the interview? Where should I put these? He managed to stammer out. "In your locker, naturally." "Where else?" came the reply. "But, is this really my uniform? I thought. What does your form say? 2 skirts, 2 blouses, 2 dresses, that's what you've got. Have you signed the form? But, why do I have to wear a skirt?" Aye. All female staff members must wear either the dress or a skirt and blouse. It's company policy, I'm afraid. But no room for buts. If we let you wear trousers, we'd have to allow all the girls to wear them, and then where would we be? I understand, but I'm actually male, you know? I can't wear a dress. What will people say? Look, Don, I know deep down you're a man, but I must say, we almost didn't offer you this job. With your face and body, we knew customers and staff would think we let a woman wear trousers, and that's not acceptable. What? Are you saying I look like a girl? Are you saying you don't? Look, if you don't want the job, that's fine. But if you do, we only want Donna Hawking. We'll help you adapt, a bit of makeup, some false breasts, and a trim of your already long hair. Isn't there any other option? Surely I don't look that feminine, do I? But deep down, he knew the truth. Don possessed big eyes, high cheekbones, and soft, delicate features. He was slight in build, with a gentle voice. Despite his efforts to dress in overly masculine attire, it rarely obscured his feminine attributes. He often found himself mistaken for a woman or referred to with female pronouns. I'm afraid you do. If we let you wear the men's uniform on the shop floor, it'll cause chaos. While the staff may be aware of your true gender, the customers won't be, and the other female employees will resent you for flouting the rules. I know it sounds absurd, but believe me, we have over 200 female employees here, and they all wear these clothes without issue day in and day out. It wouldn't be so terrible, would it? Don pondered this for a moment before ultimately accepting the offer. He reasoned that once he had his foot in the door, he could figure out a way to avoid wearing a dress later. Right now, he desperately needed a job, and he hoped that once the manageress saw him making an effort to present as a woman, she'd drop the whole idea. It couldn't possibly work out, could it? The first week flew by, and Don hadn't even glanced at the uniform they'd provided. Instead, he underwent extra training, which involved getting his hair cut and learning how to apply makeup, all under the guise of familiarizing himself with the hair and beauty products the store sold. Soon, he found himself waxing his own legs at home, then delving into the world of false eyelashes, nails, hair accessories, and hosiery. By the end of the week, Don felt like an expert in these feminine products. When he first applied makeup, he couldn't help but do a double take. He was genuinely shocked at the transformation. The manageress snapped a few photos with a disposable camera, and after an hour of processing, Don was presented with a picture of himself, or rather, herself. There was no denying it. She looked like a woman. Could any man possibly look that good? It was almost as if they'd superimposed her head onto a man's body, the only giveaway being the clothes and the absence of breasts. Avoiding Dickson during lunch breaks, Don hadn't yet confided in him about his predicament. What could he possibly say? He had already shed his body hair, endured eyebrow plucking, undergone electrolysis to remove his beard, and sported an incredibly feminine haircut, complete with curls and highlights. Dickson didn't seem to notice, further solidifying how much of a spectacle he must have appeared, even without the beauty regimen. Now, all that stood between Don and his new life as a female employee of Victoria's Secret was a weekend to purchase a pair of 3-inch heels and practice walking in them. Buying the shoes proved to be a rather daunting experience for Don, as you might imagine. When he arrived, the assistant looked puzzled. Here stood what appeared to her as a woman dressed in men's clothes, or was it a young boy? She hesitated before speaking. "Can I assist you, miss?" she ventured. Don blushed, suspecting it was his new hairstyle that caused the confusion. "Yes, I need a pair of shoes for work. They should be quite fashionable because I'll be working at Victoria's Secret," he replied awkwardly. The assistant paused. The customer hadn't corrected the miss, so female shoes it was. "Oh, how lovely. Well, at the moment, 3-inch heels are quite popular. Would you like to try these on? What shoe size are you?" "I think I'm a size 6, the last time I checked," Don admitted, feeling a mix of embarrassment and relief about his small shoe size. He slipped off his trainers as the assistant busily prepared the shoes. Sitting down, She eased the first shoe onto his left foot. Immediately, Don noticed how snug and petite they felt compared to his usual footwear. They made his foot look minuscule. The assistant swiftly slipped on the matching shoe, much to Don's discomfort. "What do you think? Why not take a little stroll around?" she suggested. No, that's all right. I'll take them. They're really nice," Don replied quickly, eager to conclude the ordeal. "Are you sure? We have plenty of other styles you could try," the assistant offered. "No, it's fine." "How much?" Don insisted, eager to complete the transaction. And so Don purchased his shoes. Next on his list was buying his underwear, his new underwear. Without much thought, he hurried into a shop and hastily selected items, first a Wonder Bra, sized 36C, along with matching panties. They appeared small, uncomfortable, and somewhat pointless, but he didn't dwell on it. He bought 5 sets of each, along with a suspender belt and nude stockings. The full reality of having to wear these garments daily hadn't quite sunk in yet, but he understood that his masculine pride was taking a severe blow. After a humiliating week immersed in femininity, all he had to anticipate was a weekend of struggling in high heels, followed by years of skirts and dresses. The realization dawned on him that as long as he remained employed at Victoria's Secret, he would have to go by Donna instead of Don, even if he climbed the ranks to management. If his true gender ever got out, it would be catastrophic. He also realized that because Donna worked for them, his references would also bear that name. It would appear as though Don had never held a job, forcing him to be Donna in every future position he sought. Upon returning home, Don immediately slipped on the shoes. He decided to leave the other clothing items until the very last minute, namely Monday morning. Once again, he was taken aback by how dainty they made his feet appear, but that wasn't his immediate concern. The problem was he simply couldn't walk in them. So he practiced until, come Sunday night, he felt confident he could manage the walk to work the next day. The next morning, Don woke up feeling a wave of nervous sweat wash over him. He knew what he had to do, but he couldn't bring himself to face it just yet. He retrieved one of the bras, a pair of panties, and the stockings from his drawer. First, he slid on the panties. They felt soft, tiny, and undeniably feminine, a stark contrast to his usual sweaty boxers. Then, almost on impulse, he fastened the bra. It was a bit tricky at first, but he managed to adjust the straps and fit the soft breast forms. He felt the pressure on his shoulders and back, and the weight on his chest. The result was surprisingly convincing. Next came the suspender belt and stockings. He delicately rolled the nylon of the stockings up each leg, securing them to the little tabs. They were immediately uncomfortable, but they accentuated his legs in a distinctly feminine way. Gazing into the full-length mirror, he beheld a girl clad in her underwear. With a sense of trepidation, Don approached his closet to retrieve the final pieces of clothing. Already, he felt an odd sensation, pressure pushing and pulling all over his body, forcing him to stand upright with his shoulders back. He dreaded to imagine the effect the remaining garments would have. First, the blouse. As he slipped his arms through the sleeves, he noticed it buttoned the opposite way round, and even more peculiarly, he had to fasten it around his breasts. It was evident that he would need time to adjust to having these things protruding from his chest constantly. Then came the skirt, the moment he had dreaded since seeing the words on the form. He knew it represented the ultimate symbol of female submission. Men were granted easy access to a woman in a skirt. It had been wielded as a tool to control and confine women for centuries, and now, he too was to join the ranks of those sacrificing freedom of movement for the sake of appearance. It would alter the way he sat, walked, stood, knelt down, offering him no protection or quick means of escape in the event of an attack, which as a woman, he was now acutely aware of. Men would leer at him, scrutinizing his buttocks, legs, and breasts, hoping for sexual favors. He knew from his own past behavior toward women that no matter how professionally a woman dressed, once she hit the streets wearing a skirt, she became a sex object in the eyes of every man who laid eyes on her. He had objectified women himself. Now it was his turn. With a deep breath, He stepped into the skirt and carefully pulled it up over his hips. The silk lining brushed against the nylon of the stockings, teasing the small patch of bare flesh that made contact. It fastened at the back, leaving a flawlessly smooth surface at the front, skimming down just above the knee. This was the pivotal moment for Don, and in a way, he wasn't disappointed. Somehow, it seemed to harmonize with the underwear he wore, yet he felt coiled like a spring, as if his clothes could unravel at any moment. There was no weight to them at all he felt was the tug and pull of the stockings and the bra. Finally, he slipped on his heeled shoes. Instantly, his buttocks protruded, and his breasts were pushed forward. With each step, he realized that the combination of heels, stockings, and skirt compelled him to take small, delicate strides, while his hips swayed involuntarily. Without hesitation, Don proceeded to apply his makeup, though his shaking hands made it challenging. Finally, he styled his hair into the beautiful curls that his boss had admired so much. The finishing touches were 2 small stud earrings, a few rings, and a delicate silver necklace. As he gazed at his reflection in the full-length mirror, Don collapsed to the floor, feeling weak at the knees. He couldn't believe it. He truly looked like a girl, utterly and completely feminine. "Oh my God. I really am Donna Hawking. I'm a girl," he murmured in disbelief. In a strange trance-like state, he began gathering all his male clothes into a pile, a sizable pile. Grabbing a black bin bag, he stuffed everything inside and headed out to his backyard, where he set fire to the lot. As the clothes turned to ash, Don suddenly realized the folly of his actions, allowing himself to be consumed by a moment of total defeatism. Now, with no money and no means to revert to his former male identity, he sank deeper into despair. "I'm trapped as a woman now. I'll be stuck as a woman for the rest of my life." With virtually all traces of his manhood erased, Donna stepped out of her door and embarked on the short walk to work. She felt the stares of the men she passed, the breeze between her legs, the brush of nylon stockings against each other, and the sway of her breasts. Sensing the sensuality and sexuality of her attire, she arrived at work without further complaint. "Glad to see you've enhanced your appearance. In fact, Donna, how would you feel about doing one of our catwalk shows? There's a dress I know you'll look *darling* in," the manager remarked. Donna simply smiled and agreed. Throughout the day's work, she selected a nice casual dress to wear when she returned home that night.